Welcome to the Airbnb Blueprint Podcast, your go-to training hub for building your very own Airbnb business. In each episode, we break down the exact blueprint that helps us build a multi-six-figure Airbnb business from scratch, and we'll show you how to do the same. Continue learning with us for free in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community on Facebook. Find the link in our show notes below. Commit, believe, succeed. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. We're going to get into something really, really important. We have touched on this a little bit in a few previous episodes, but we're going to revisit it and see if we can add even more value and help you guys at home. And it's all around burnout. Burnout, mental health, not giving yourself enough time, putting too much time into the business, taking it to bed with you, thinking about it on the weekends, constantly anxious and burnt out. And the reason why we've spoken about it before and why I want to speak about it again on this episode is because it's so real in our own experiences and in our own lives. And yes, even though we're the ones sitting here giving you this episode, it doesn't mean that we're, perfect and we've got it all cracked and all worked out. I still struggle with it on a daily basis. I know that Pooh struggles with it a lot as well because he's got so much going on. He's spinning so many plates. So anyway, we're going to speak about it again today. So we got Pooh with us.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yep.
So Pooh, your situation, for those of you who are quite new to the podcast or don't quite kind of know us that well, our situations are polar opposite. So I live in Spain. I work remotely from there. We're business partners. Pooh's here in the UK. I don't have the kids, the family, any of that. It's just me and my bike, and I'm good with that. Pooh's life is very, very different. What have you got going on?
Yeah, I've got young families. So I've got two beautiful girls and my wife. Yeah, and we don't really have a lot of relatives in the UK. I mean, my brother-in-law is he's in Reading, which is quite close to us, but he's busy with his own family as well.
Yeah. So I would say that your situation is probably a little bit more relatable for those of you listening at home than my situation. There are going to be some of you maybe a little bit younger that are like me, and that's good too. But both lives, both types bring with them their own challenges. So I can speak about my challenges and then maybe Pooh, you can speak about yours. So for me personally, my biggest struggle, it's something that I struggle with and that I beat myself up about all the time. And it actually brings me down a lot and frustrates me. And it makes me not like myself very much because I feel quite annoyed at myself that I can't seem to get a grip on it, is trying to find focus. I really struggle with, ever since we became business owners and we no longer had a job, we didn't have the boss giving me that structure, which I did for most of my life, albeit conventional jobs, whether I was a scuba diving instructor or whether I was working on super yachts. I still had a boss, and even though it was in the sunshine and it was different, it was still a job. There was still set hours, there was still responsibilities, deadlines, targets, responsibilities. But now that we have the business, I have to get up every day and I have to be focused and structured, and I need to make sure that I'm completing those tasks and I'm giving it enough time and that I'm completing deadlines. And I really struggle with structure, and I tend to kind of drift a little bit through the day. Before I know it, Monday's gone. I haven't really achieved anywhere near as much as I wanted to. And it's kind of a weird, the effect of having too much time is that it takes me a lot longer to do things that someone with very little time is a lot more efficient in doing, if that makes sense. And I also tend to work right from when I wake up a lot of the time, right till I go to bed, because, it's just me and I don't have those other responsibilities. I don't have to make the dinner, or I don't have to put the kids to bed. I don't have to read the bedtime stories or take them to the clubs like Pooh does. So I just basically just carry on working a lot of the time. But again, I might work all day and all night, but I only really achieve what maybe Pooh does in a few hours because he's like super, super focused and very, very time poor. So that's one of my biggest struggles. And I don't give myself enough time to I don't cut my day at say 5 p.m. and say, okay, the day's over. Now I'm going to go off and do my own thing and relax and spend time doing what I like to enjoy. I do tend to cycle in the mornings, but then maybe I start work at 10 and I'll work right through until like 7 or 8 on different projects, but it's not really something that I should do. So they're really the main things that I struggle with.
I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners would resonate with you. When it becomes your baby, right?
Yeah.
Then you own it 24/7. Like, I think it's complete lie if anybody like says like you can leave your business behind and let someone else take care of it. If you outsource it to your team, the tasks you delegate to your teams, that's fine. But in the end, it's still your baby, so you still think about it, 24/7.
Yeah.
Constantly like thinking how to improve it, how to take it forward, what direction next, how do we make more sales.
I beat myself up about what I just said because when I meet other people who are like, so efficient and so organized and they've planned their next day the evening before, and then they come into the day and they're like, okay, I've got 20 minutes on this task, tick. 20 minutes on that task, tick. Okay, my diary now says I have a 5-minute break, and they walk around the house, they take some fresh air, they come back in and like refreshed and ready to go, crack out the next few jobs. And, I speak to her and I'm like, she's like, how was your day? I'm like, well, I wanted to do this and that, but I didn't really achieve any of it. How was your day? Oh, I did this and I raised 100,000 over there. And then I, set up a business over here. And it's like, man, some people are just like so organized and so efficient. But she would also say at the same time, she's got flaws. She's got things that she beats herself up about. Yeah. So it's all relative.
So, I mean, first thing I would say, like, good for them, So, but like, we are not machines, right? Like, we're not machines like that, even though I feel like machines sometimes. I think it's okay to have flaws and to mess it up and to kind of chillax a bit. You don't need to be like regiment, like bang, 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 just to get productivity all the time.
Like I'm still trying to learn Spanish, like after all this time. I'm rubbish at languages. But and the teacher always says, oh, when you're watching Netflix, you just need to put all the subtitles on. And I say, I don't ever turn on the TV. And she's like, what do you mean? You don't watch TV? I'm like, I literally never. The only time I turn the TV on is for the cycling or the snooker. I never sit there and binge Netflix series. And they always find that super, super weird.
Mate, you need to listen to Daddy Yankee and start.
Who the hell's Daddy Yankee?
Some reggaeton.
Yeah, maybe. I never think, if I'm ever sitting there, I would never sit there and spend 2 hours watching Netflix because I'm thinking I could be working on this project. Yep. I could be working on that. I could be sending some emails.
But you can do things like, I don't know, to make something that you like, let's say if music is your thing or if it's something else, then you can, I don't know, like say Spanish music, and if you want to learn some lyrics from there.
Daddy Yankee.
Yeah, Daddy Yankee, yeah. And why not? Yeah. Turn that into, like, you don't need to sit and watch Netflix or anything like it.
Yeah, I find it so boring.
Something little.
Tell me about some of your struggles because people can relate, I think, a bit more.
Oh man, like I am so time poor throughout the day. But the reason for it is because I chose to be like that to a certain degree. Obviously, my kids are still like super young, 2 and 7. And the little one is the one that, now like took all my time really. She's stuck to me 24/7. I co-sleep with her. She sees me more like a mom than a dad. And partly reason is because, I'm trying my best to help my wife to get over this postnatal depression, which she's had for years. It's been a massive struggle for myself, and I blame myself for it. And it's a really hard thing, because we first had a baby, right? And then you don't get a lot of sleep. Like you rarely get any sleep at all because it's so regimented. Like the baby just constantly needs you all the time, like randomly. Feeding, burping, changing nappies. And she fell asleep, and by the time that's done, she's up again, another feeding. And we don't have any help in the UK, family, they're so far away they can't come. It's a massive struggle, and she really, really struggled with because she didn't get a lot of sleep either. And my wife, she's a very bad person to take herself to sleep. So when you're so short of sleep, you know, you're super tired all the time, then you get really grumpy. Your mood just, you can't do any exercise because you don't have the energy level. Plus you got a kid with you, you know. So everything just kind of went downhill from there. And she was tired, I was tired, and what I said to her was like, you know, I know you're tired, I'm tired too. So we both just have to kind of man up, you know, and get on with it. But that was a mistake because I didn't see the sign coming from her, and the sign of depression coming to the point where it got too far, and I could not recognize my wife. She was completely different person. Like when that switch was flicked, we went down the route where, you know, I really struggled to the point because she started to do things that she shouldn't do, say things she shouldn't have done, you know. And then we start to have like, we seek medical helps, we seek counseling, but at the same time we still have a little girl with us that, you know, we have to raise. And the little girl need a baby, need a dad and a mom, you know. So it's a hard balance to have. And at the same time we had the business. Yeah, the business is still going. So
in a lot of these situations, though, knowing you obviously very well, I think in that situation, the other person, you know, what happens to you? Where's the support for you? And, you know, who are you talking to? Yeah. It's the same as when, you know, when someone's wife or husband or partner, let's say that they come down with some dementia or some awful illness. Yeah, they're going through absolute hell. But the person who's left behind, the person who's dealing with all that, because what, you know, what about them? Yep. They're just, you know, they're trying to hold all the bits and pieces together.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you do, right? I mean, you're trying to help the other person. The other person has to help themselves too. But sometimes when, you know, this is what I learned, that when you are in a certain kind of state, you couldn't see outside. There's nothing else that you could see, and you were like, it's almost like you're stuck in like a lapse or something that you couldn't get out. And these people need, you know, help, like professional helps to get them out. And slowly, like we've been battling this for, you know, more than 7 years now. So
playing devil's advocate, like you say, what are you going to do? You just got to brush yourself off and get on with it. You know, do you not think there's an element of that in relationships, in partnerships, where you could easily just lay down and say, I can't take this. But instead you're running for years on a few hours sleep a night, you're running the business, you're looking after the kids, you're doing this, doing that. Do you not think there's an element of we just got to make this work?
Things start to get much better, you know, lately. But obviously like the bits had never left. You know, the depression part hadn't left her yet. When she didn't get enough sleep, and that's where, and if we hadn't done enough exercise, you know, that's when it came back in very quickly. So self-care is extremely important, that, you know, I value so much. But at the same time, I struggle myself because the time that I had, you know, within a day, it's just so short. Like I rarely get time for myself because my little one, she's stuck with me 24/7. If I go to the toilet, she'll be in front of the toilet banging the door. You're like, Daddy, Daddy.
I wonder what you can do, because there's a lot of people in that situation. And I guess that's why you see so many people, for example, like runners. They'll be running with like the all-terrain buggy, you know, still getting their 10K in, but they're running with the buggy.
I think it's really like, you know, very admirable and it's an amazing thing to do. But I think like for us, you know, we just have, if we can, let's say she goes to nursery, so I've got, you know, that time of the day to do my things, and that helps. And obviously for me to be strict with my time, who I spend the time with. That is, like, for me, that's the most important thing. Like, I don't go out to networking if it doesn't serve any purpose at all. I don't do that. I don't go to networking events. I don't go to meetings or anything like that. If it doesn't align with our missions, our values, no. It wastes my time. So,
and I guess all of this is the reasons that drive to building this business, which gives you the freedom to have that flexibility, work from home.
I mean, it does give, you know, a lot of flexibility, but it just, because I chose to be with the little one.
Yeah.
It's my choice.
Yeah, you choose it.
Yeah, I
It's
chose
not like
it,
you
so,
hate that time, like
no.
it's a struggle.
I enjoy like every single moment,
Yeah, of
like being
course.
with them, from the moment like they wake up until they start to scream at me until I take them go to bed at night. I thoroughly enjoy being with them, but is it tiring? Yes, it is.
I think the biggest takeaway in a kind of general sense for everybody, whether your life is more like mine or like Pooh's, is to really find a way, whatever works for you. Maybe you're a really organized person, like my friend who, chops up her day into 20-minute segments and then 5-minute breaks, or another way where you just say, okay, I need to just do all these tasks in 4 hours, however that works, whatever it is that works for you. But you need to make sure that you're finding time for something outside of all of the noise and all of the work and the stress that you can just turn off for a short period of time. So for me, it's cycling. When I go out in the morning, I'll go out for, it can just be an hour, maybe 2 hours. And for that moment, it's like
just you.
My I'm not with my phone. I'm just in the nature, just cycling, and you just forget about everything. For my super organized friend, for her, it's running. The world could be on fire. She does her 10K run. She clears her mind. She comes back, refreshed.
Exercise is the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you have like a bad day or anything, just go out and run or sweat it out somehow.
A lot of people don't do any exercise. And, I could sit here and say, well, if that's what you want, then that's fine. But I don't think that, someone says, I don't do anything. For me, it's just gaming or, listening to music.
Yeah, to be frank, I don't think you have a choice, really. If you want to be successful in the business as well, right? Exercise is a must.
Yeah.
Like you got to have it, because otherwise you can't keep your mental capacity up anyway. So
it should be at least one of the few things that you can do where you're switching off from everything.
Yep.
And that's why, if you're a runner or if you're a cyclist or whatever, you should still do it without all the screens. You see some people that go on a run and they've got like the watch and then they're tracking it on the phone and they're uploading this and that and doing the Instagram stories. And it's like, come on, take that time to just switch everything off.
I used to give myself an excuse when I have this like Fitbit thing, right? And then when I stopped doing exercise for a while, then you started to have like the voice in the back of your mind start to give you a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
And one time was like, no, I'm not doing exercise because I haven't charged my Fitbit.
Yeah, good excuse.
Yeah, because I can't track my heart rate. I can't,
Can't do anything then, surely.
And in the end, just like throw it away and just work out.
Yeah, you don't need to share everything with the world. Yeah, I mean, just an honest episode about, just letting you know that everybody has issues, everybody has struggles. My struggle won't be yours and yours won't be mine. We've all got our own struggles. But yeah, for me, the ultimate end answer that kind of helps to keep a lid on everything, is to get out, get away from the screens. The damn screens are an absolute curse these days.
I think social media does a lot of damage to everybody.
Everyone. It's to blame for 95% of mental health issues for sure.
Like stop scrolling,
Yeah.
If you need to scroll, I think it's really good to block a time of the day.
Yeah.
And then just do it and then leave your phone and just.
Yeah, and this is how you know that it's how mental it is that when you meet someone, I went out for a drink with a friend of mine, Nick, a week ago or so over in Spain. I don't know how we got into the subject of like phones and this and that. I said something like, oh, I sent you that Instagram reel, like, wasn't it funny or whatever? And he was like, I never saw it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't have any of that stuff on my phone. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Facebook. He has no social media at all. It's all gone. It's all off his phone. And I said, so you never look at your phone? He said, the only time I ever look at my phone when I have time is I'll go on Duolingo just to like learn a language. And he said, the only time I use my phone or like scroll is if it's benefiting me, if I'm learning something.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, I looked at him like he was God. I was like, that is so inspiring and amazing. Because when you think how much time you waste, just like doom scrolling, we all do it. And this becomes such just a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
The second you have a spare minute, phone comes out, Instagram, instead of phone comes out, learn. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a way of.
That's the way it is for the moment.
It's a way of learning out.
As long as we are conscious about it, we weren't like this before, when we didn't have internet, when we didn't have smartphone, we weren't like this.
When I think about when I was 21, 22, and I did all of my traveling, no phones, no uploading, sharing stories. It was just in the moment on a beach or on a mountain. Oh, it was so good. I don't have like the endless digital photo library of those days, and there's some memories that I would have liked to look back on. But, I've got a few from the, the click little cameras that you go and get developed, but I still wouldn't swap it because it was just amazing kind of being in the moment. Don't forget to reach out. Tons of stuff in our group about this. We're always talking about it. We'll put out some information about it as well. Don't forget, go to the show notes and grab our free guide on lead generation. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with this exciting business, take it, work from anywhere in the world, make great money and scale it with zero risk. Get away from the rent-to-rent game that is toppling big time. Then, head over to our group, check out our training, and we'll get you to your goals. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on another episode of the Airbnb Blueprint Podcast. Take care.